Do you ever feel like your home is getting more crowded even though you haven't bought anything in months? Clutter doesn't always come from big, bulky stuff. Sometimes it's the little things quietly taking over your space and your peace of mind. That's why in today's video, I'm sharing 10 things you really don't need to keep around the house, small everyday items that might seem harmless but are slowly draining your energy. We often think a tidier home means adding more bins, more shelves, more organizing tricks. But sometimes the biggest relief comes from removing, not rearranging. If any of these sound familiar, drop a comment below. You're probably not the only one holding on to it. Now let's begin. The first item you probably don't need to keep is all those extra throw pillows. Let's be honest. When did our sofas become pillow storage units? It usually starts with a couple of cute throw pillows to cozy up the space. But then you spot a new color, a trendy texture, a sale you couldn't resist. And suddenly your couch looks more like a pillow fort than a place to sit. Here's the thing, more pillows doesn't always mean more style. In fact, too many can make your space feel cluttered, overdone, and weirdly high maintenance. No one wants to rearrange 5 cushions just to sit down. So here's a simple shift instead of piling on more. Ask yourself, do these actually fit my space? Are they comfortable or do they just collapse like pancakes? Do they bring warmth or just take up room? You really only need 2 or 3 great pillows, maybe 5 or 6 if you have a big sectional. Choose ones with texture, weight, and color that grounds the room. Quality over quantity every time. And this goes for your bed too. If making it takes more than 60 seconds, it might be time to let a few pillows go. This way, your space feels calmer and a little easier to live in every single day. And by the way, if you're wondering how to stop clutter like this from piling up again, make sure to come back tomorrow. I'll be sharing some super simple habits you can build into your day to keep your home feeling tidy without the constant effort. But for now, let's move on to the next thing you might not actually need. Number 2, cleaning products you don't actually use but keep just in case. I used to have this whole section under the sink packed with bottle sprays. I didn't like the smell of products for surfaces we no longer even had, and a grout cleaner I bought on impulse because it was on sale. I kept thinking maybe one day I'll use this. My sister did the same. At one point, she had 5 half-empty bottles of glass cleaner because she kept forgetting she already had one. It's a small thing, but over time that clutter adds up not just physically, but mentally. Every time I opened that cabinet, it felt like one more mess I didn't want to deal with. So I tried something simple. I kept only the few products I reach for every week and put them in a single caddy. Everything else, especially the stuff I hadn't touched in months, I let go. This way, cleaning feels less like a chore and more like something I can actually get done. Number 3 is a classic, the Tupperware graveyard. You know, the one, that cabinet where lids go to disappear. For the longest time, I had a bottom cupboard that I avoided opening unless absolutely necessary. It was crammed full of plastic containers, most with no matching lid in sight. Every time I needed to pack leftovers, it turned into a 10-minute puzzle. And if I pulled out one container, 5 others would fall out like dominoes. My mom once said, "I swear these things multiply when no one's looking." And honestly, it felt true. The turning point came one afternoon when I realized I only ever used the same 3 containers. The rest were just taking up space and patience. Here's what helped. I kept the containers I actually liked, using ones with matching lids, stackable shapes, and no lingering tomato stains. I recycled the mismatched pieces, and from then on, I decided to only keep one type of container, all the same size, all with interchangeable lids. It doesn't have to be fancy, just functional. Now that cabinet stays calm, and I don't dread opening it. Sometimes the smallest change, like matching lids, saves the most daily stress. Number 4 might surprise you, kitchen rugs. Now I know they look cozy. Instagram makes them seem like a must-have. And if you love yours, that's great. But for me, they ended up being one more thing to clean and one more thing to trip over. I tried one a while back because everyone online said it would soften the space and make standing more comfortable. But honestly, I found myself constantly adjusting it, vacuuming crumbs out of it, and getting annoyed every time I spilled something on it, which, let's be honest, is every time I cook. Eventually, I realized I don't need a rug in the kitchen. I wear slippers around the house, and I'd much rather mop a bare floor than deal with a soggy corner of fabric. That doesn't mean rugs are bad. For some people, they work, especially if you have hard floors and spend a lot of time at the stove. But if you added one just because it looked good in someone else's photo, it might be worth reconsidering. The point isn't to follow trends. It's to create a space that works for you, not the algorithm. Number 5, random cords and mystery remotes, the ones that seem to multiply when no one's looking. You know that drawer, the one filled with old chargers, tangled cables, and remotes for devices you no longer own. We had one growing up, and I swear it was like a tech museum. There was even a cord labeled DVD player. 2007. We hadn't had that DVD player in over a decade. When I moved into my own place, I kept thinking I might need this one day, but that day never came. And meanwhile, I was digging through chaos just to find the one cable I actually used. So here's what I do now. I keep only the cords I use regularly, maybe 1 or 2 extras just in case. The rest go in a small bin with a label and a date. If I don't touch them in 6 months, I let them go. Same for remotes. If it doesn't work or you don't even remember what it controls, it's safe to say you don't need it anymore. This tiny cleanup makes tech feel simpler and your drawers way less frustrating. Number 6 is fridge magnets. Just the everyday magnet stuck all over the refrigerator door. For a lot of us, it starts with just 1 or 2. A souvenir from a trip, a cute photo, maybe a magnet from the local plumber, just in case. But over time, more and more things get added. And before you realize it, the whole fridge is covered. That's exactly what happened at my place. I didn't plan to clutter it up, but one day I looked at it and thought, why does this feel so busy? So I took everything off. Then I added back just a few magnets that really mattered, a family photo, a grocery list pad, one drawing my niece made. It was such a small change, but it made the whole kitchen feel calmer. Not perfect, just easier on the eyes. You don't have to get rid of everything. Just ask yourself, do I still use this? Does it still make me smile? Even little spaces like the fridge can make your home feel lighter when they're not filled with things you've stopped noticing. Number 7 is the guest bed, or as some people call it, the world's most expensive laundry rack. I say that with love because I've been there. For years, we had a full-size bed in our spare room that barely got used. Maybe twice a year when someone visited. But the rest of the time, it held clean laundry, off-season clothes, or things I didn't want to deal with yet. It took up so much space, and it made that room feel like storage instead of something useful. One day, I asked myself if I didn't need this for guests, what would I want this room to be? And the answer came quickly, a space for yoga reading or just quiet time. So I swapped the big bed for a fold-out sofa. Now it still works when someone stays over, but the rest of the time it works for me. If you have the room and love having a dedicated guest bed, great. But if you're tight on space and rarely have visitors, it's okay to rethink it. Your home should support your everyday life, not just the occasional what if. Number 8 is something most of us don't even notice: too many mugs and water bottles. I used to think I didn't have a clutter problem in my kitchen until I tried reorganizing one cabinet and realized I had over 20 mugs, 20 for a household of 2 people. Some were gifts, some were souvenirs, and a few I didn't even like, but I kept them just in case. Sound familiar? The same thing happened with water bottles. I had a whole shelf full, but only used the same 1 or 2 over and over again. The rest just made it harder to find the ones I actually needed. Eventually, I asked myself if I could only keep the ones I reach for every week, which would stay. That helped me let go of the extras. Now I have a small set that stacks neatly, looks better in the cabinet, and doesn't overwhelm me every time I put the dishes away. You don't need to get rid of everything, just enough that your shelves feel breathable again. And bonus, it makes unloading the dishwasher so much faster. Number 9 is tea towels, those simple little cloths that somehow never leave. I didn't realize how many I had until I tried closing the drawer and it wouldn't shut properly. That's when I pulled everything out and found towels that were over 10 years old, some with holes, some so stained I wouldn't want to use them even for spills. But I'd been keeping them anyway. Why? Honestly, I'm not sure. I think part of me thought they're still kind of useful. Or maybe I just didn't think about it at all. What helped was reframing it. If a towel is too worn to dry dishes or wipe hands, it's not actually doing its job. Now I keep a small stack of fresh ones for the kitchen and repurpose the really old ones as rags for cleaning under the sink. The drawer closes easily. I can always find what I need, and I don't feel low-level annoyed every time I reach for a towel. Sometimes clutter hides in the smallest places, but clearing it even just one drawer gives you a little more ease in your everyday routines. And finally, number 10, kitchen gadgets that seemed like a good idea, but never really earned their place. I remember buying a spiralizer after watching one cooking video. I used it once, hated cleaning it, and then it sat in the back of a drawer for years. Same story with a mini waffle maker, an egg cooker, and a garlic press that never worked quite right. They were meant to make cooking easier. But in reality, they just took up space both in my kitchen and in my mind. Every time I opened a drawer and had to dig past something I didn't use, it felt frustrating. So I started using one simple rule: if I don't use it at least once a week, it doesn't get prime space on the counter or even in the drawer. I keep just a few essentials I reach for daily. Everything else either donated or tucked far away for rare use. You don't need every tool for every task. Sometimes a knife and a little patience do the job just fine. Letting go of the maybe someday gadgets makes everyday cooking feel clearer, calmer, and a lot less complicated. So that's it, 10 things you might not need but probably still have. Letting go of even just one or two can make your space feel lighter and less overwhelming. And if you're wondering how to keep clutter from coming back, in tomorrow's video, I'll share simple, low-effort habits that help your home stay tidy without constant cleanup. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and let me know in the comments which item you're ready to say goodbye to. See you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.